In a striking turn of events that perfectly illustrates the unpredictable nature of international trade policy, President Donald Trump has once again reshaped the landscape of tariffs with his announcement of a 30% tariff on Chinese goods. This decision, made on April 2, 2025, marked a significant reduction from the previously imposed 145% tariffs, a move that left many in the business community feeling a mix of relief and lingering uncertainty. For small business owners like Yair Reiner, CEO of Gowanus Kitchen Lab in Brooklyn, the initial imposition of such high tariffs was nothing short of crippling. When the tariffs were at 145%, it felt like someone had their boot on the neck of my business and I couldn't really get any oxygen, Reiner said, reflecting on the profound challenges posed by the trade war. His company, which produces kitchenware in China, faced an untenable situation until the recent tariff reduction. However, even with the new rate, Reiner emphasized that the relief was only partial. The boot's still there, he explained, illustrating the continued strain on his operations. The recent tariff policy is emblematic of a broader pattern in Trump's approach to trade negotiations, characterized by an initial high-stakes announcement followed by a rapid recalibration of rates. Following the April 2 announcement, Trump quickly adjusted many of the tariffs, settling on a more manageable 10% for goods from most countries just a week later. According to Marcus Nolan, director of studies at the Peterson Institute for International Economics, this back-and-forth creates a sense of whiplash that can be historically contextualized. He took us to just catastrophic levels, and now with these cuts he's brought us back down to roughly where they were in 1940. Nolan noted. Data corroborates this perspective. The average effective tariff rate in the U.S. currently sits at nearly 18%, the highest level since 1934. This increase reflects a significant departure from the low single-digit rates that characterized the previous decades. Despite this rise, financial markets have responded with a sense of normalcy, leading some analysts like Nolan to argue that Trump's tariff swings have successfully reframed investor perceptions. Richard Shell, a professor at the Wharton School, likened Trump's strategy to a classic negotiation tactic known as the anchor effect, where a high initial offer sets the stage for more favorable subsequent terms. There's a psychological relief that sets in, Shell explained, although he cautioned that the president's intentions may not always be clear. It's not clear whether the president is doing this on purpose or if he's just testing the waters, he added. However, the volatility of the tariff landscape has also bred uncertainty, complicating long-term planning for businesses. Scott Lincecum, vice president of general economics at the Cato Institute, emphasized the detrimental impact of such unpredictability. If you simply don't know what the tariff rate is going to be 10 days from now, it's pretty impossible for you to invest in, say, a new factory in the United States, he stated. Reiner echoed this sentiment, acknowledging the potential for long-term gains from the tariffs but lamenting the lack of stability necessary for effective planning. I could see the logic of that, he said, but what gets in the way is that I think long-term gain hinges on long-term planning, and I'm not able to do that. As the 30% tariffs are set to last for a mere 90 days. The prospect of further changes looms large. With the possibility of a more permanent agreement with China still uncertain, businesses like Reiner's remain in a precarious position, caught between the immediate relief of reduced tariffs and the looming threat of instability. Looking ahead, the evolving landscape of U.S. China trade relations will undoubtedly continue to affect markets and businesses across the globe. As stakeholders await the outcome of potential negotiations, the question remains: will clarity emerge from the chaos, or will the tariffs continue to oscillate, leaving businesses to navigate an ever-shifting terrain? In a rapidly evolving global economic landscape, the ongoing tension between the United States and China continues to cast a long shadow over international trade dynamics. Recent developments have highlighted the fragile state of the U.S. China trade truce, with both countries grappling with the implications of tariffs that have reshaped their economic interactions. Meanwhile, the European Union (EU) has sought to navigate this turbulent environment by presenting a new trade proposal to the US, which includes significant concessions aimed at fostering better relations. On May 22, 2025, the EU unveiled a comprehensive trade offer to the Biden administration seeking to revive stalled negotiations with President Trump. The proposal includes phased tariff reductions on non-sensitive goods alongside collaborative initiatives in energy, artificial intelligence, and digital infrastructure. Notably, EU officials have indicated their willingness to extend a tariff-free arrangement on U.S. lobster imports, which was originally established in 2020 and is set to expire in July. This move aims to bolster U.S. exports to the EU and could serve as a cornerstone for a broader trade agreement. Such overtures come as the EU prepares approximately $108 billion in retaliatory tariffs should diplomacy fail. Amidst these developments, the U.S. China trade relationship appears increasingly precarious. Just days after the 90-day tariff pause was announced, China's Commerce Ministry threatened legal action against any entity assisting the U.S. in discouraging the use of its advanced semiconductors. This escalation is particularly concerning given the significant drop in Chinese shipments of Apple's iPhones and other mobile devices to the U.S., which have plummeted to their lowest levels since 2011. The fallout from these tariffs is being felt across various sectors, prompting leaders like J.P. Morgan's CEO Jamie Dimon to warn of a looming stagflation as the U.S. economy grapples with geopolitical tensions and inflationary pressures. Retail giants are not immune to the effects of the tariffs. Nike has announced plans to raise prices on select adult products while maintaining stable prices for children's items, a move that reflects the broader trend of rising costs across the retail sector. Walmart too has hinted at impending price hikes, prompting President Trump to publicly admonish the company to eat the tariffs rather than pass costs on to consumers. The mixed messages from the Trump administration regarding who bears the brunt of these tariffs have left many retailers in a precarious position, caught between navigating consumer expectations and managing profit margins. As the economic landscape continues to shift, analysts are raising concerns about the long-term implications of these trade policies. The recent data from S&P Global indicates a rebound in U.S. economic output for May, with the composite PMI showing a rise to 52.1, up from 50.6 in April. However, this rebound is tempered by warnings of inflationary pressures driven by tariffs and supply chain disruptions, with prices climbing at their steepest rate since August 2022. Globally, the ramifications of the U.S. tariff strategy extend beyond its borders. Japan, for instance, has downgraded its outlook on the global economy due to the uncertainty stemming from U.S. trade policies. Meanwhile, a dozen U.S. states have filed a lawsuit against the Trump administration, arguing that the imposition of tariffs misuses emergency powers and threatens economic stability. As the trade landscape evolves, companies and economies alike are bracing for the potential fallout of these policies. The fragile truce between the U.S. and China, combined with the EU's proactive approach to trade negotiations, underscores the complex interplay of international relations in the face of economic uncertainty. The stakes are high, and as both sides navigate this intricate web of tariffs, negotiations, and retaliatory measures, the future of global trade remains uncertain. Looking ahead, continued dialogue and negotiation will be crucial in mitigating the risks posed by escalating tariffs and trade tensions. The willingness of the EU to engage with the US may offer a glimmer of hope, but the path forward remains fraught with challenges as the world watches closely for signs of a more stable economic future. As the geopolitical landscape continues to shift dramatically, the United States military is unveiling a bold new strategy known as the Hellscape doctrine, aimed at countering the rising threat posed by China, particularly regarding Taiwan. This revolutionary military approach is predicated on the use of advanced technology and unmanned warfare, marking a departure from traditional combat strategies that have defined recent conflicts. The urgency of this new strategy stems from a pervasive belief among U.S. defense officials that China is preparing for a potential invasion of Taiwan, a scenario they anticipate could unfold as soon as 2027. In response, the U.S. military is devising plans that prioritize technology over the presence of boots on the ground, envisioning a future where American soldiers are not deployed to the front line.
Admiral Samuel Papero, who commands U.S. Indo-Pacific forces, is a key proponent of this innovative doctrine.
He articulated the vision behind Hellscape, stating, "I want to turn the Taiwan Strait into an unmanned hellscape, emphasizing the integration of numerous classified capabilities designed to deter Chinese aggression. The strategy envisions a battlefield dominated by drones operating in the air, on land, at sea, and even beneath the waves, effectively creating a buffer of autonomous warfare. This technological pivot is a response to lessons learned from past conflicts, particularly the protracted war in Afghanistan, where over 775,000 U.S. troops were deployed over 2 decades, resulting in significant casualties and ultimately a withdrawal that left the Taliban in control. The Hellscape doctrine aims to eliminate the need for human involvement in frontline combat, turning the conflict into a contest between man and machine. By employing swarms of drones and autonomous systems, the U.S. seeks to create a kill zone that would deter enemy forces without risking American lives. The implications of this strategy are significant. The U.S. military is not merely enhancing its existing capabilities but is redefining the nature of warfare itself. The Hellscape initiative promises to deploy thousands of drones employing tactics that include overwhelming enemy defenses and disrupting communication networks. In essence, it seeks to transform the traditional battlefield into a theater where human soldiers are obsolete, replaced by machines that can operate continuously without fatigue or fear. Critics, however, may argue that this approach lacks the human element that has historically characterized military success. The romanticized image of the lone soldier, as exemplified by figures like Chris Kyle, celebrated in popular culture, is being replaced by a stark reality of robotic warfare. The strategy's reliance on technology raises ethical questions about the nature of conflict and the role of humanity in warfare. As military spending continues to soar, projected to reach $2.7 trillion in 2024, investments in unmanned systems will be crucial for the U.S. to maintain its competitive edge against nations like China, which is also rapidly advancing its military capabilities. The Hellscape doctrine represents a significant shift not just in tactics but in the very philosophy of warfare, reflecting a growing trend toward automation in military operations. Looking ahead, the effectiveness of the Hellscape strategy will depend on its implementation and the response from adversaries. As the geopolitical climate evolves, so too will the technologies and strategies employed by global powers. The United States' commitment to this unmanned approach could reshape the future of combat and international relations, ushering in a new era where technological superiority may dictate the outcomes of conflicts.